This week I learned doing a live stream anywhere outside of this room, it's never going to happen. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update. We're about midway through the month of December now, so some things are kind of speeding up, some things are slowing down. But what's not changing at all, guys, is talking about what am I reading. Well, yes, I did finish Legend. I was almost done with it when I spoke to you about it last week. Did a short about it recently. I liked the book. I did. And it's one of those things where I can see why it has the legacy, why it has the respect that it does. It's very well written. My problem is it did very much feel like an author's first book. That's really what it felt like. And the whole thing with me is ℓ was awesome. ℓ was as advertised. ℓ was incredibly entertaining. So much so that the fact when ℓ was not on the page, I kind of lost interest. I never really got as invested in ℓ. There was an event that happened between ℓ and ℕ that kind of turned me against him, and he never really kind of got back in my good graces. It's something that kind of happened with Furious in the first law, but Joe was actually able to get me back in that character's corner. With this one, not so much. I never really felt like there was any profound sense of regret from the main character. And it was just one of those things where you look at it as a product of the time kind of deal. I can understand that. Just saying, if you were going to you're going to give me this one awesome character and you want to shift focus to this other character, I don't know. I don't feel like he kind of went about it the right way. And there's some stuff with I guess you say like the higher ups, the higher powers in this world that didn't really make a ton of sense to me. So it very much felt like I'm dropping in on like book 5 of 16 or something. That's kind of how it felt. And I know he has went back and wrote very many prequels and some other stories with ℓ and things like that. So there are other things for me to get into. And I did like his writing style enough that I will read more David Gemmell. That's not a problem. But for me to say Legend is one of the greatest books I've ever read, no, definitely not. But I can definitely see the foundation is there, and I'm interested enough to continue. I'm about halfway, guys, or not halfway, about 3/4 of the way through Children of Time by Mr. Tzukowski. This is my first Adrian Tzukowski book, kind of mixed. And I'm going to be honest here. The expectations for this book were through the roof. I mean, I put it up to that viewer poll, kind of, not really a poll, but you know what I mean, where I suggested, hey, these are 5 new book series I'm considering starting after I finish The Expanse and Children of Time 1 going away. It wasn't even close. Everybody's been saying they can't wait for me to get to this book to hear my reaction. Well, I've got a reaction for you. Thing I heard about this book is there's a human part and then there's this other species part. Just put it that way. I don't think it's really as much of a spoiler as I thought it was, guys, because literally 10 pages in, you see what that other species is. But still, I don't want to be that guy. And the thing that I had heard was that the human parts were kind of boring and the other species part was the really, really great S-tier stuff in this book. I'm kind of having an opposite reaction. I feel like I like the struggles that's going on the ship, outside of the planets, up in space. That stuff's actually really good. I like it quite a bit. There's some mutiny, there's some struggle, there's some, struggle for power, things like that. I'm digging all those things. That's actually pretty good. The stuff on the planet, guys, to me, this feels like biology homework. This feels like if the author was saying, hey, you know what? I had this science experiment where I had an ant farm and I let a spider get loose in it to see what would happen. That's really what it sounds like. And he's kind of trying to add almost like a fantasy novel spin on it. It's not landing for me as much. I feel myself zoning out. I feel myself kind of glazing over a bit on that. Now, I don't know if that's just because it's like too hard of science or what. But like I said, that feels like homework. Whereas the stuff with the humans feels like an interesting story that I want to read. So I'm enjoying it enough, like I said, that I'll probably continue with the series. But again, I think this is kind of right there with Legend in that I think that the expectations for this were so high, couldn't possibly have met them. But I don't think that's really affecting my read. I never let other people's reaction affect how I feel about a book. But I don't quite get on the surface level of the planet, the parts that everyone just goes completely crazy about with this book. That stuff to me definitely feels like I got to turn this biology assignment later tonight because I've got to do some reading right now. That's what it feels like. I've got to do some textbook reading. And that's not really the kind of sci-fi that I'm into. I'm about halfway in
to Speaks Nightbird. I only have it on digital, by Mr. Robert McCammon. And guys, this is bloody brilliant. I am loving this. Now, this is going to be something I don't think is for everybody. It does take place in, 1699 American colonies, and there are going to be some things that are dated, obviously, because it is historical fiction. But this, guys, is everything that I love about Robert McCammon's writing style, in that it can be a complete slow burn. There's not a lot of action going on, obviously. It's a lot of characters interacting with each other, and it's terrific. I'm loving it. It makes me think of this is a remember, guys, what was it? Richard Swann's Justice of Kings, where you have these people coming in to question all these members of town about this murder. Kind of similar setting in that, but obviously historical fiction, and it's kind of Robert McCammon's take on the Salem witch trials, which happened 7 years prior to that in that timeline. And it has a lot of things, with revisionist history on the Salem's witch trials that we look at and we say, maybe we didn't handle that the best way. I think there's a lot of that in this going on in this book. Our characters are aware of the Salem witch trials. Like I said, it's only 7 years ago, and already at that time there's been some reflection on that of how did we handle that the right way. So it's not like preachy or anything like that. I think it's just taking a look at it. How was life in this situation after the Salem witch trials? And I like that a lot. I'm loving the relationship between Woodward and Matthew. It's really good stuff. I really am at the point, like I said, halfway, where I thought, okay, no way did she do all the stuff that they're saying that she did? No way. I don't think she's actually a witch, and then there's further questioning and stuff. And then I'm like, I don't know, maybe she is a witch and I'm getting honey dick just as bad as Matthew is, So that's kind of how I feel about it right now. But I'm all in. I really am enjoying it. Again, McCammon, amazing writer, guys. I mean, I've talked about this with Swan Song. I've talked about this with Boy's Life. Even books that I struggle with a little bit, like Wolf's Hour and They Thirst, I was always like, his characters are just excellent. Doesn't change here. Matthew is just such a fun character to get inside of his head and see how he's thinking. And McCammon, he can't say anything shortly because this is a monster. It's almost an 800-page book, but I'm just ripping through it. And again, it's one of those, it's like, yeah, it is very slowly paced. Very, very slowly paced. But I'm never bored. I'm never bored with it, and I'm really, really digging it. So quite happy to say that this one's going to be leaning more towards the Swan Song Boy's Life than it is towards the They Thirst and Wolf's Hour for me. So that's great news. That's great news. I do think I bought 6 of these books on digital, and excited to keep going because this is just as advertised. A lot of people told me, Speaks Nightbird's great. Not a lot of people have tried it, but once they try it, they get all crazy invested because you just read the premise and it doesn't sound like it's going to be anything super thrilling. And I don't know if thrilling is the word that I would use to describe it as much as compelling. You want to keep going. You want to know what's going to happen. You want all these mysteries answered. And I like the way that he's kind of leaving it up, kind of like Bernard Cornwell did in the Warlord Chronicles of, was it magic? Was there something supernatural going on? Could have been. Just kind of depends on the way that you look at it. So I love that he's leaving it open to those things. But there's some messed up stuff in there, guys. There's a parts where there's some people confessing what they saw. Some witnesses and some people that are kind of confirming or denying, what those other people have said. And those stories get very descriptive, and they are out there. I mean, they are really, really out there. So I'm like, either some really, really wicked stuff is going on, or these people got one hell of an imagination, and I'm anxious to find out. So I'll keep on working on that this week, which brings me to what am I going to read, guys. Obviously, finish those 2. That's my number 1 priority before I begin Fool's Quest, because when I start Fool's Quest, it's going to be a long time because I'm going Fool's Quest straight into Assassin's Fate. So we're going to do this like I did with The Expanse. It was a really, really powerful, emotional end to The Expanse, and I love the way I did it, doing books 8 and 9 together. So here, doing the last 2/3 of the Fits in the Fold together, I think will be a terrific way to wrap up this 2-year plan that I've had going for Realm of the Elderlings, and so excited to continue because I really did like Fool's Assassin a lot. So I'm hoping that this doesn't suffer from the same middle book problems that Golden Fool did after I loved, Fool's Errand. Are these names confusing to you yet? I always wonder, I'm like, did I say those right? That's how it goes. But excited to do that. I started volume 21, that is, of One Piece, and I only got a couple pages in. I fell asleep because I started reading really, really late one night. But I am anxious to see kind of where it goes because in volume 20, Luffy got his ass kicked really bad, to the point where I've been saying my biggest complaint of the series so far has been that Luffy was a little too OP. Well, that gets answered here, and I think that's what makes characters, makes you relate to them. See them get knocked down and see how they pick themselves up and keep battling, or they're picked up by their friends. And I hope that's where we're going here. I mean, I'm thinking, since there's, we're into the volume 100s now. And I don't think it's actually in volume 100. I don't know. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. Anyhow, I'm thinking that they do pick themselves up and win and fight back and win. But I'm excited to see how it goes, because, like I said, I felt like there was one thing that was really missing from the series so far. It was Luffy would just show up and gum pistol or battle axe or something, just punch someone in the face, and it's like, oh, okay, they win. So this actually showing them actually to endure through some struggles is exciting times. And guys, I'll be reading this week, and more on that here in a minute. If you hear my voice, you might understand when you go back to this and understand why my voice sounds a little goofy today. But that's really all I got planned to read for the upcoming week. Let's talk about this week on the channel. If you notice, I'm trying some new lighting setup. I'm still tweaking it. There's some things that I think that have worked, some things that haven't worked. I've got plenty of people offering to help me. I'm going to get this figured out. But good feedback, I think, from a couple of videos I did this week with the new lighting. And, hopefully, again, it's just something that I've always kind of struggled with on the channel. And I want to make sure that I get that figured out. That is my big goal for 2024, is to perfect the lighting on the channel. But I did do a couple of videos. I did my book haul for November of 2023. Again, I don't have to tell you guys very much about a book haul that you don't already know, showing those wonderful things that viewers and publishers and authors did send to me, as well as some things that I picked up my own, including digital content that I always do say counts. But another fun month. Some really, really amazing things that I got in there. Some great things from Broken Binding, some great things from some viewers, including that Christmas Carol book that I shall be reading here relatively soon. But yeah, great book haul. And again, I love doing book hauls, guys, because it creates so much conversation, and I get to say thank you to those people who were generous enough to send me something that I can't say thank you for enough. I did my biggest failures. Now, this has kind of gotten like a weird reaction. It was kind of tongue-in-cheek. That's what the thumbnail was, me looking real disappointed. I say it's biggest failures, disappointments, and regrets of 2023. It was meant to be like a counter to my, biggest surprises of 2023. Some things that I look back on and say, hey, I fell a little bit short on that. I don't think I'm a failure, guys. I've gotten so many people being like, oh, keep your head up, Mike. Don't let things get you down. It's like, look, I'm goal-oriented, so I set goals, and if I don't hit those, I look back and say, man, you could have done that better, or hey, I wish I could have that one back. For me, that video was more about, hey, here's things that I felt like I could have done better, and I'm going to fix those going forward. That's the way that I always look at it. Things that we struggle with as content creators, like audio and video problems and things like that. It was never really meant to be a, hey, I'm such a failure. I'm fishing for people to tell me how great I am. That was never what it was meant to be at all. And I want you guys to know that I don't consider the channel a failure. I even say so at the end of that video. I get so many messages from people telling me how what I do here just makes so much parts of their life better. And I mean, to me, that's a victory. They told me that they were done reading until they found my channel and I reinvigorated their love for reading. That's a victory. I don't look at that as a failure. And that's kind of what that video was. Like, I think you can do some self-reflection and see some things that you did and say, I want to get those right, going forward. That's really what that video was meant to be. So I don't know if that shall be a yearly one or not, because I feel like I confused a lot of people. I wasn't depressed about anything, so it was just, like I said, just meant to be like a counter to that biggest surprises video. I did that short of a rapid review of Legend, which I kind of just regurgitated here, but in case you watch that, because I know a lot of people don't watch shorts. And did another one that wasn't exactly a short, because the camera wasn't turned this way, it was turned the other way, which was really just kind of putting an idea out there where I said, hey, I'm thinking about doing a live reading of Christmas Carol on the channel. I wasn't sure if that's something that my audience would be interested in. Thinking about doing it like a 5 Nights of Christmas kind of thing. Well, guys, the feedback was pretty good on it, so I decided I was going to do it. And today's my day off, so I thought, hey, I'll set this up while the kids are at school, try to get things done. Well, now they had a half day, and my wife had a half day. And so it's like I had like a 3-hour window to try to do this all. Got everything set up. Everything looked great. I recorded stave 1, and then I went back and listened to it, and there's a effing bird outside my window chirping the whole video. Ruined the whole thing. Ruined my day. And the reason my voice sounds like this is because my voice for Scrooge, it makes my voice a little jacked up. So I said, I can't read this all in one sitting anyway. But the thing was, like, I'm not re-recording that. And I won't have the house to myself again to do that out in the living room by the Christmas tree. So I called an audible, and I just said, I'm just gonna read it like I would a dramatic reading on the channel or something like that. And like I said, drop the podcasted version onto the podcast, obviously. And I think that's the best way, really, for me, because I'm just going to be overly frustrated. The kids would be like, "Oh, I'll come out there, but I won't say anything." They just want to say, I know you don't want anyone sitting there making faces at you and stuff. It's just kids, and just kid stuff. So unfortunately, guys, that's just my life. That's my life, and not unfortunately, I'm very, very happy with my children. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying when it comes to the comforts of, hey, I've got all this silence and time to do all these things that I want to do. It's just not my channel. I'm never going to have those things. So, again, I hope you guys will bear with me of what I do have planned to do for that. I am still having a lot of fun doing it. It's one of my favorite Christmas books, maybe my favorite Christmas book ever. I don't know if that's a discussion I'm ready to have yet. I mean, it seems like it's pretty cut and dry. I'd have to really think, I don't know, it's a good conversation. Best Christmas book. I don't know, because then you start being like, oh, well, if it has Christmas in it, does it count? Like you people who count Die Hard as a Christmas movie? Or, I mean, some people count Harry Potter as a Christmas movie because it has Christmas in it. So is that the rule now? Anyway, I'm really going down a rabbit hole I shouldn't. But I do still intend to do something for Christmas Carol, and it just might be a little different than I had originally planned. I'd love to sit by the campfire, by the fire, by the stockings, by the Christmas tree, and read the book to you guys. But yeah, life just gets in the way, and nature's just the son of a bitch sometimes. A couple of TV and movie talk things before I go. I know everyone wants to hear me talk about the Dune Part 2 final trailer. Well, here's the thing. I wasn't intending to watch it. But here's the thing. I felt like, do I really want a third full-length trailer for a movie? I'm starting to feel like you're giving away too much. And then I said, Mike, you've read the book 13 times. I really don't think there's very much they could give away that you don't already know. At least that's what I told myself to justify watching it. And my kid was very, very excited. And that's exciting to me that my kid's excited for a Dune movie. So yeah, watch it, guys. It's awesome. It's awesome. You can definitely tell that this is the action trailer. The first couple were kind of the story trailer. This one is very much the action trailer to show, hey guys, this is going to have a lot of action, a lot more action than the book has in it, honestly. Now, those things happen. They just kind of happen off the page. So I'm not opposed to seeing those. I think for me, the biggest thing was seeing Christopher Walken as the Emperor, because I was certain every Christopher Walken role, he just turns into Christopher Walken. I was kind of worried about that. But again, I feel like Denis V is a good enough director, and people want to work with him, that he's saying, hey, can we not do the Walkenisms? He'll listen, and he'll do it the way that Denis V wants him to do it. So it's very, very encouraging. And I wasn't really worried about it per se. It was to me, it was like, am I going to be able to unsee Christopher Walken in that role? But he has a unique look. So yeah, it looks great, guys. It looks incredible, and I'm seeing so much excitement for it. And all I've got to say is, please, guys, go see it in the theater. Because we will never get Dune Messiah. We will never get a potential Children of Dune or a God Emperor of Dune if you guys don't pay to go see it, because these movies are not cheap. And you don't want a low-budget Dune movie, because then you get what the Sci-Fi Channel had, where it's completely faithful, but it looks like it was done on a college drama stage, So please go see it. Please go see it. I can't wait to see it. They put out a trailer, guys, for Beverly Hills Cop 4, or they're actually calling it that. They're calling it Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, and the do. That was called Axel F by Harold Faltermeyer. And the coolest thing first is that they got that composer back. In Beverly Hills Cop 3, which I've kind of like made like the Rocky 5 or the Godfather 3, that series, where I just kind of refuse to acknowledge it even exists because it's just so bad. They didn't have him doing the music in that. And I think that was another big strike against that movie. Well, he's back for this one, and I think that's really, really cool. But I went into this trailer being like, this is just, why? Please, Eddie Murphy's in his 60s now. Why are we doing it? Is just going to be another Hand the Torch to, his kid or something? Is it going to be another one of those movies? The trailer's actually pretty good. I'm gonna say, look, the music, I'd say that puts me about 50-50 on, hey, this is nostalgia, but I'm still here for it. But for me, I didn't know they were getting everybody back. I mean, everybody back. I mean, you got Sanders in there. I mean, you've got, for me, what really, really hurt Beverly Hills Cop 3 was not having Taggart back. So if you don't have Taggart, Billy Rosewood, and Axel Foley, it don't work, because that trio is what made the first two movies work. Well, you got all three of them back. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't even know the gentleman who played Taggart. I can't think of the actor's name right now. I didn't know he was still alive. So this was so cool. I mean, you have basically that same shot of the stakeout, you know, the banana in the tailpipe. You have that same shot of Axel in the back seat and Rosewood and Taggart in the front seat, you know, doing a stakeout. And yeah, guys, sure, might be some nostalgia. Look, to me, I hope it's a hard R, because, you know, they tried to make Coming to America PG-13, and it was a disaster because of it. And not just because of it, but mostly because of it. So I'm hoping that Eddie Murphy learned from his mistakes with Coming to America. He's already done his Christmas Kids movie this year, so maybe he's got that out of his system, and he can go back to saying, hey, does it have to be foul-mouthed? No, I don't think it has to be foul-mouthed. I think it just has to be adult content. I mean, that's just what Beverly Hills Cop has always worked as, you know? And you go back to those first two movies that were super successful, and yeah, you couldn't have done those movies as PG-13. They had been the same. So again, maybe that's just me being a hooligan again. I'm not saying that PG-13 can't succeed. I'm just saying I hope it doesn't. I hope it goes hard R, and you let those characters kind of take the forefront. And this isn't a big bait and switch where we are going to make the movie all about Eddie Murphy's kid or Axel Foley's kid. And it is still, you know, very much like a Cobra Kai. You can have those younger characters, but don't disrespect your legacy characters. So again, I keep saying, guys, some people snicker when I say this because they haven't watched it. But you watch Cobra Kai. That is the blueprint for how you handle something like this, where you've got your legacy characters and you have new characters, but you don't disrespect your legacy characters, and you can have a full storyline for both. That's what I hope they're doing here, because, yeah, it looks way better than I ever expected it to be. Gaming talk before I go. I don't really have much. I downloaded the new God of War Valhalla. If you guys have that, if you guys have God of War Ragnarok, you can download the DLC Valhalla for free. Haven't started anything about it. Heard great things. It doesn't seem like they put out very much anymore from the God of War franchise, unless it is just top tier. And yeah, I'm always ready to have more Kratos in my life. Kratos and Mimir telling me some storylines while we go through Valhalla. So I don't even know if this is just like a challenge mode or what it is. Don't know very much about it because it just kind of came out of nowhere last week. But yeah, free DLC for my favorite franchise going on the Sony PlayStation right now. Yeah, you better believe that I will be picking that up without a doubt. But guys, that was my week. I would love to hear what your week is like. Why don't you drop in the comments, guys? Let me know what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're listening to, what you are playing, and I will talk to you there.